Welcome to CAD 230, Joe Cerrone. I'm going to go over this 3D printer project. We're going to create this bench vise assembly drawing, and I've put the drawing details into the Contents tab, but I've made a shortcut for it right here so we can take a look at the actual part itself. It's basically a vise. It has this base component, and then it's got this jaw that's going to slide back and forth, and then it's got this threaded piece here, this jack screw, which will move this jaw, and then it's got a couple of these base plate rails that will hold the vise to, typically they hold them down to like a Bridgeport plate, and then this plate here is mounted underneath this this part right here so that it can slide back and forth in this channel. The part itself, the assembly, looks like this, and I'm going to start off by showing how to create this base part of the vise. So we're going to start by taking a look at the drawings, and we're going to increase that a little bit. And so we've got this component. It's in metric units, 144 millimeters by 36 and another 16 up here. And then these two ends are kind of collinear. So we're going to start off on the front plane, and we're going to create a sketch, and we're going to extrude that. So we're going to start a new part. And I'm going to get rid of this swatch, plain white. Set the units for millimeters. We're going to work on the front plane. So I'm going to go to the sketch tool. I'm going to select front plane. And then we're going to sketch the basic shape of this, which is going to be this shape right here. It's going to just go right like this. So we'll start off with the origin right here, and then we'll go 144 millimeters to the right, and then we'll go up 16 plus another 36 millimeters, and then we'll come over 22. We'll define that with smart dimensions. There we go. Okay, so once we have the sketch profile created, what we're going to do is we're going to extrude that, and we're going to extrude this mid-plane so that we can keep everything kind of lined up on the center of the part. So we'll go to Features, Extrude Boss Base, and we're going to select mid-plane, and we're going to set that as 64 millimeters. Okay, so now that we've got the general shape of that, what we're going to do is we're going to work on this end right here, and we're going to cut out this little channel from the bottom. So we're going to work on this area right here. So we have this area which is 32 millimeters and 16 millimeters here for this little cutout, and 16 millimeters by 7. And we're going to cut this through all. Switching back to Solidworks. We're going to click on this surface or this face, and then we're going to start a sketch. Spacebar, normal 2. I like to start by driving up a center line. And then I like to draw half of the part since it is centered down the middle. And so what we'll do is we'll just come over here and we'll sketch in. Half of it. We'll hit escape. We'll mirror that before we dimension it. And SolidWorks really likes symmetrical objects. So we like to appease it. It works better when we start to define the dimensions for it. And since the dimensions on this part are set up where everything kind of runs down the middle and is dimensioned down the middle, it makes sense to create this mirror, because then we have this symmetrical relationships built. Let's add our dimensions. And we'll need a line along the bottom to be able to cut this shape out. Once we have that fully defined, we'll extrude cut by going to Features, Extrude Cut, through all, green check mark. All right, so that takes care of that component. Now we're going to work on this back face right over here. So as we look at this, what we're going to do is we're going to create this shape right here, and then we're going to go around the outside edge of it and subtract this negative area from the part. We're not going to do the hole here. We're not going to draw that at this point. We'll come back and create that later. So what do we have here? Well, we have this 50-degree angle, and then we have this 16 millimeter ledge that it starts off on, and then it's got this little offset here. So I think the best way to start this would be right from the center by drawing a 16 millimeter radius circle located as shown. So switching back over to the side, we'll start a sketch, spacebar, normal 2. We'll drive up a center line. We'll create another center line, horizontal, and we'll locate that 36 millimeters from the bottom. Notice that it's a center line or a construction line, and that way Solidworks doesn't try to extrude it or make it into a solid shape. So we'll set that at 36 millimeters, and then we'll go through and we'll draw a circle here, and we can draw that right from here right to that point right there, and by default that will be the size that we need it. I thought it would come out fully defined because I thought it had enough information, but apparently it doesn't. So we may have to put a smart dimension on here, apparently. And then what we want to do is we want to take another center line, and we want to set that up at 16 millimeters from the bottom. And I guess we want a regular line actually, and I'm only going to draw half of it. So I'm going to come in here and just put that like that, and then I'm going to draw another line from just down here to a tangency point and hit escape. And so this is now tangent. If it doesn't give you a tangency relationship, you can add that. And then I'm going to mirror this about this line, and then I'm going to trim set up my dimensions. And it looks like this line needs to be collinear. Let's see if I can just add that. Yeah, apparently it does it. Great. I'm not sure what's going on here. I thought it cannot be good. Let's see if we can trim that like that. This one apparently looks good. Yeah, I thought this would look a little funny, so they're not tangent. There we go. And let's see if this one is. This one I think should be. All right. We can add the fillet here, or we could put the fillet in afterwards. We'll put a 3 millimeter fillet. So to fully define this, I think it wants to know how far it is from here to here. And this is a common problem when the dimensions on the print don't reflect that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Solidworks to get some help with that by right-clicking in the sketch and selecting fully defined sketch. And I like to just choose one entity at a time and have it calculate it. And yeah, that apparently needed to be there. So it goes and finds out what it's missing. We'll green check mark that, and now we have that fully defined. We're going to add a line around the perimeter. And then we're going to extrude cut this under features, extrude cut. Now it doesn't seem to know what to extrude cut, so we're going to use contours. I'm going to select in here, click this one and this one, and we're just going to say up to next, and then green check mark it. All right. We can then add the 16mm hole on the end. So we'll select that surface. We'll say sketch, hover, acquire, and then we'll define that as 16. And then we'll extrude cut that. Up to next. We may come back to this and use the thread wizard in a later video. We're going to go to the bottom of it, and we're going to put the holes in the bottom, and that will take care of this. Select that surface, start a sketch, spacebar, normal 2. We're going to take a look at our print, and we're going to see that we have these number 6 holes located, or 6mm holes typically located on the bottom, 38mm and 70mm, and then it locates them off the center. So we'll start off by driving a center line through the part. We'll offset that 44mm or 22 bidirectional. I'm going to make those for construction. And then I'm going to clean up my sketch a little bit. And then I'm going to put some more center lines. 38 from the back. And 70 from the last. So that gives me the locations for my holes, and we're going to use the hole wizard for that. So we'll go to Features, and we'll go to Hole Wizard. And it doesn't want to let me do a hole wizards in the sketch. So we could draw them with circles, but they won't have the drill head diameters. So I may wind up doing a little bit more work on this. I'm just going to say OK, and then we'll go under Features and say Hole Wizard. And what we'll do is we'll define a drilled hole. And then what we'll do is we'll set this up in metric drill sizes. The hole size will be 6. And then the depth of those is set at 10 millimeters. So once we have the thread specs dialed in, what we do is we go to the Positions tab, and then we select the face that we want those on. And then we go and locate those. And let's see if it will find them. I don't think it will, but we can put them and see if it comes close. We're going to then locate those smart dimensions just to make sure. And so we'll say from here to here, that's correct. And then from here, so we'll leave that one out. So it did find my sketch dimensions, most of them. This one's a little off. It should be 70 even. All right, so that's our hole feature, and what it should do is put like a little point on the bottom for the drill tip, and that's what it's really like. That's what we want when we use a drill. If we were to 3D print them, then you could have flat bottomed holes. So we'll say OK, and there we are. You can see there's a bit of a conical shape in there. All right, we'll save this file. And I'll save this as my initials dash base plate. And that completes this video.